This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Tom Thakkar, and we talk about some podcast ideas. Should you do cocaine on a podcast? I don't know. I think it would be worth it. And also, we're just going to help him name his new album and special because we think he should do it from his dad's grave. All right, here we go. Dumb Pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my goodness.
Welcome to another episode of Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This is the show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas. And I'm back in the studio. We're alive. I've made it through COVID. Everything's good. Happy to be here. Very happy for our guest this week. Help me welcome Tom Thakkar.
Hey, thanks for having me, Monica. Good to see you.
It's great to see you. Thanks for doing it. I'm excited to have you. Also stand-up comedian, very funny. We've done some festivals together, and I don't know what it was. We were in some artist lounge or whatever in I think
Bloomington?
Boise. I think it was Boise.
Oh, in Boise.
Yeah.
Yes.
And whatever. They give us free pizza and stuff, and I just remember you kept saying "get fucked," and it made me laugh so fucking hard. And I was like, I think I'm gonna be friends with this guy. And
Hell yeah!
Ever since then,
I used to say "get fucked" all the time.
It was like
I'm
every
bringing it
little
back.
thing too. You're like, "There's no more pepperoni. Get fucked."
Yep, get fucked. People were mad at that festival about the playlist that I put on in the green room, and to that, I was pissed, and I was like, "Get fucked." I remember Marcella kept saying it was trash, and I'm telling you to this day, it was not trash.
You're like, we haven't talked since
sick.
then. No, yeah. So I'm just a fan of you as a person, but we like to start with people's good ideas so that everyone knows you have had some good
Actually,
ideas.
that's a pretty good album idea. I've been trying to think of what I want to name my album. Maybe I'll name it "Get Fucked."
There we go. Another good idea comes from
There
the
we
show.
go.
Perfect. All right. Tom Thakkar, you have been on Comedy Central, Stand Up Presents. You've also been on This Week at the Comedy Cellar. You did Conan.
Yes. Yes.
You actually had your own show, a Comedy Central stand-up with Tom Thakkar, where you curated other stand-up, which was pretty cool.
It was very fun. They took it away, which was my bad idea to think that I was going to live forever on the income of a podcast through Comedy Central.
They do seem to go quick these days.
Yep.
And you're a writer for Sci-Fi's The Movie Show.
I was a writer for Sci-Fi's The Movie Show. That is correct.
Look at you. You've done all
Which
these
is
things.
no more, sadly.
I
Maybe
mean-
it'll come back, though.
Oh, that'd be cool. And then currently, if you would like to, right after you listen to this podcast or watch this podcast, you can go find Stand By Your Band, which is your podcast where people defend their favorite bands that might not be that good. So you've had lots of good stuff, good ideas. You've done things. Now to the fun part. So when I gave you kind of the criteria of the show, what bad ideas did you come up with?
So I've definitely had a lot of bad ideas in my time. Most of this job is failing, and just now I remembered one. This isn't one we'll dwell on, but I was in a comedy contest. It just hit me as you were introing the idea of bad ideas, and I remember at this terrible contest show in Indiana. And maybe it was in Indianapolis. It does not matter. I think it was a small town in Indiana, but it was like a contest nonetheless. And if you won, you got $50 and you got feature work for like the local headliner, who I think may have been dog shit. It was not like a great prize.
Good prize.
But we all, when you're a year into comedy or less, a contest, you're like, oh, if I win, that's finally the validation. If I win that, I won't even need any more validation in my
you're
career.
like, then I get feature work. I can quit my day job. Yeah,
exactly. And then, of course, it doesn't matter. The person who wins, you're like, where are they now? And they are most likely dead. But
you don't want to win a contest, actually, if you want to live for very long.
But this was it was every week. They gave you free dinner, which it made it worth it either way. But you lost gas money. It was fun though. But I at this one all day, I had this spark of genius in my head because everybody was going up with a beer. Everybody had a beer in their hand while they did their set. I thought, what would be hilarious is if I went up there with a. Wait, this might have actually been my buddy Josh Murphy who did this. Maybe it was like both of our idea to go up with a bottle of ketchup. It was still one of our ideas, but
Okay,
go up and act like a bottle of ketchup was your beer.
Was your drink?
And just hold it and kind of maybe try to sip it every once in a while, and it completely bombed. And now that I'm thinking about it, that may have been me coaxing my buddy Josh to do that.
You're like, I had this idea. You should try it.
I had done that same thing with a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. Now that I'm thinking about it, and it also didn't work. People don't get like props like that where they don't know you at all, and I did that with a watermelon once. I took a watermelon and a hammer on stage, and I just left it there and didn't do anything with it, and then I left the stage carrying them. All bad ideas that are basically the same idea.
I appreciate you trying it though, but it is a hard thing for the audience to be like, I'm distracted by that. I want to know why, especially when you don't say anything about it. Then they're like, why was there a fucking? I don't even remember what he said because why was that watermelon there the whole time? Why did he have ketchup?
Yep. But it's all like alty ideas that at a comedy club in Indiana they're just not going, and frankly I'm on their side. That's not a great bit. It's like it kind of sucks,
right?
But
you're taking risks.
So the idea that I was gonna open with here though was an idea that I already mentioned his name, but a good buddy of mine, Josh Murphy, who I started comedy with basically in Bloomington, Indiana. We decided we had 2 different podcasts together, and both were terrible ideas. The first one was called Nights of Infinite Resignation. We were in college, and he wanted to call it that because if you like break that down, it's nights with an N, so it was Radio Noir, Noir, okay, which is the nerdiest shit of all time. And somehow we were able to get we had Todd Glass on in our first 6 months of doing comedy because he will just do that. But we were getting big gets who were coming through the Comedy Attic, and we had nothing interesting to say or ask them.
Were you? Was it just interviewing people, or what did you?
Yeah, basically there was no other. This was a long time ago.
I was gonna say when, just timing wise in my head, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty early into.
I didn't even know what a podcast was when we started doing it. So it was it was 11 years ago. And then the other one we did was a little later. This was 5 years later when we were both doing a little better. We started a podcast. It was his idea, but we both thought it was genius. I guess it was both of our idea because we were drinking together all the time.
Okay.
We thought
that was
your
ideas seem to meld together, yes. But that'll be an excuse. Is that if you were drinking?
Our idea was that we would do a podcast and we would have a guest on every week, and every week we would do a new drug. And it started with alcohol, and keep in mind at the time the only drug I had ever done was weed and then booze, and he was like, no, sometimes the drug will be multivitamins or whatever, sometimes it might be crack. And luckily we start the show because we have friends who are into other drugs. We were like, this is gonna be a hit. We end up doing 2 episodes of the show. I think we may have recorded 3. He never the problem was he was drinking a lot at that time. And the problem with a drinking show where the hosts are drinking too is he would get so drunk halfway through that we would all be kind of fighting with the guest. And then he would forget that he was recording and leave it on for an extra hour. And then the audio was unlistenable. And so he never put any of them out, and I kept hitting him up hey, we need to get this going, and he would be like, oh yeah, and he didn't want to tell me that on one of the episodes he was too drunk and forgot to record or something.
Oh, shit.
And so
Wait, so
but
what
we
were
never ended up getting to crack.
Oh, dang it. Well, what were
bad.
what were the drugs that you did get to? Was it just alcohol?
We ended
and-
up just doing alcohol and weed, and I think Adderall, maybe
Okay.
something. It was all drugs that I was like comfortable with at that point.
Yeah.
But I was getting myself mentally prepared to
For,
do
like,
like
crack.
coke and mushrooms
Yeah.
just for content.
I
We were
was
ahead of the game.
feeling like those would be still doable, especially with comedians. Like there's plenty
Now
of
that I'm
friends.
saying it out loud, I probably could just do that podcast again, and now it would work.
It would be interesting, especially like to compare you guys in each episode based on what because obviously with alcohol,
Yeah.
you get a little aggressive and start arguing and stuff like that.
Let's
but
just say
what's
I'm doing
the
one of
difference?
them right now. Yeah.
It's crack. It's the crack.
Mhm.
But yeah, then to compare if you guys did mushrooms, like how different that would be, or would it be different? I don't know. Maybe you're always aggressive.
It could be. It definitely could be that.
Honestly, I don't hate the premise. It's hard to follow through, I feel like, maybe. Or maybe just at the time because of other
It's not the word. It's not a great premise. There's also a million drinking podcasts, so that's why we were trying. Even then, we kind of knew that would be a little too easy for and there's good ones too. I mean, there's a lot of good, like We Might Be Drunk and the Sloppy Boys, are great drinking podcasts. But we thought we'd have a little angle, which is the element of doing every drug.
Doing other drugs.
And we planned on doing DMT in there. I don't know how we even planned on getting a hold of a lot of this stuff, but
I just feel like you find the comic that's like known for doing that one.
Yeah.
And you're like,
that's true. Shane.
Yeah, exactly. Shane. But yeah, I mean, it's hard too, because then you'd be like, it's still illegal at some of those.
Forget, I tried to do a version, not quite this, but on my old podcast, Girls Night, which had no premise really. It was just like kind of my take on Comedy Bang Bang / an interview show. We thought it would be hilarious to watch the movie. What is it? It's with Michael B. Jordan, and it's like That Awkward Moment or something like that. What the hell is that movie called? I gotta find this because it's gonna drive me nuts. It's like him and Zac Efron, I think.
Oh God.
Damn it. All right, it might not even be in his. If you look, he might have had this erased from
taken out of his IMDb
because he's such a great actor. Yeah, it is called That Awkward Moment.
That Awkward Moment.
That's crazy. It's from 2014.
People know you were in this film.
Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller, and Zac Efron. So it's funny because Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan are obviously like serious actors, and then Zac Efron is the other person, is like the lead man in it.
Of course.
Anyway, it's a horrible comedy. We thought it would be funny to like get high and watch this in my old apartment, and we of course and do a live podcast while we did it, and we ended up just watching the movie high because none of us we realized
quiet.
none of us have anything funny to say. We're just hanging out. We're just watching a movie that sucks. It was not.
That is a hard, that's so, because there are shows like that too, like comedy shows where you're supposed to get drunk or you're supposed to get stoned or whatever.
Right.
And even then, it needs to be known that this is part of the show, because otherwise people are like, what the fuck? So that if you're like, okay, I want to hear these high dudes talk about this film, might bring up some different things, and you're like, well, they're just watching
high.
it.
It sucks.
I mean, I'm pretty quiet when I'm high too.
I'm not a fun high person. That's the element you forget. It's like, what if you get high and then you're just in your head about what is this?
Everything I would say, I'd be like, why did I say that?
Did I say that? Did that say that out loud? Was that in the mic? And then you have to ask people 10 minutes into the podcast if you've been talking.
That's have I been talking this whole time? That happens to me on those weed shows, is that I'm convinced I already said. That's I never really do material, but I'll be like, I think I already talked about this. I was thinking about it in the green room. So then did I talk about Free Willy, you guys? And they're like, what? Oh, it's terrible. But then, okay, so that one would be fun if everyone did cocaine. because then they would be
Yeah.
talking
Oh,
more.
yeah. But then people would think they were being funnier than they are, and then you got to deal with that. This is the problem with
It is,
drugs.
yeah, it's a
Only
flawed premise.
I should be allowed to do them. Like everybody else is annoying when they drink too much. Me, I'm
Man.
perfect.
When you are, I mean, that's true. Everyone is super annoying especially if you're not as drunk as them or not as whatever they are as them. Yeah, we did mushrooms one time and went down. We were next to this river, and there was a bunch of us on mushrooms, and I'm like, this is fun. This is great. Look, everybody's chill and, whatever. We're at this like campground, like way out in the woods. And then this dad with like his 3 kids came down right next to the river, and they were there for 20 seconds. Like he looked at us and then was like, let's go. And I was like, I don't know what we looked like, but it was so weird that he was like, we can't be here after less than a minute. It's pretty easy on mushrooms to convince someone that they have done something or you've already said something. I don't know why that is, but that would be interesting on a podcast. So I did mushrooms at Bridgetown.
Yes,
and
that's a good time to do them.
Portland, Oregon, and there's a lot of bridges. That's why it's called Bridgetown, right?
It's a wonderful time
with 2 other comics, and we're walking down the street. One of my friends starts like arguing that Tim Tebow is Jesus, and obviously this was like a while ago. This was like 2000.
Yeah, nobody would do this now.
14, yeah. And he like legitimately, and in my head, I guess I like couldn't comprehend that when he was joking for some reason. I think that's what it was. Like I couldn't, and I was like, we were like arguing about it basically. But that one I was like kind of understood. So then we get to the edge, like to the end of this road, and then it's going to be a bridge. And we're getting ready to walk across it. And he goes, so we're going to jump, right? And I was like, what? Wait.
Oh,
and in my head, I was
Jesus.
like, did we talk about this? What? Why does he think that this is what we're going to do? And I was like, wait,
God.
no. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, no. And then eventually he's like, no, I was kidding. Come on. And I'm like, I can't walk across the bridge now. Like I wouldn't go. And so there was this donut shop, and I went in there because I was like, I'm not walking across the bridge now.
Yeah.
Like there was something.
Because in your head, there is a moment where you're like, well, if I go across that bridge, I might fuck up and just jump off
Right.
of it.
I've already forgotten that we didn't talk about it. So what if I forget that we didn't agree on it, and I'm like, I think we said we were going to jump.
I think you made the right move not crossing that bridge, because I know myself, and I would be like, I know that I'm not supposed to do this, but maybe I am supposed to do
did I
this.
say I was gonna
I'll
do
go
that?
first, I guess.
I'll go first, I guess.
Mushrooms rule. They are the best drug.
Are there podcasts when people are on mushrooms like every time?
I'm sure that there's, if we looked this up, I bet that there is a mushroom podcast, or at least where they're microdosing or something. I know comics who microdose all the time. So if they have a podcast,
I was
they
going to
just
say
automatically do that.
I'm sure there's some people
It's
they
not
don't
even the
advertise
premise.
it. Yeah, they don't advertise it like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I like the idea. I do like the idea of it escalating every time, and I am a little bit sad that you didn't at least get to a 3rd episode where it would have been, or a 4th episode where it would have been something that maybe you weren't as comfortable with at the time.
Mhm. Oh yeah. I mean, I would have done it too, just because I felt at that point in my life, I felt the most peer pressure. I was the most susceptible to peer pressure of anything, or of
Would
any
have gone
time
over
of
the
my
bridge, yeah.
Like 3.5 years into your comedy career, I think you're some people are like truly built different, where they're so confident that young that they're above that, but not me. I was like, I'll do anything.
Yeah, definitely not me. I mean, that's why I probably did mushrooms at Bridgetown. I had done them before, but still, it's like, yeah, everyone's cool. Let's do mushrooms. I don't know.
That I could not do, because comedy festivals, while I have so much fun at them, it's too much of a social. I would be worried. I already at Bridgetown pissed a lot of people off, I think, by just being drunk and saying insane things.
I could see that.
But I
Not
got
from
some
you,
good
but
laughs
just in
out
general,
of it. So.
Oh yeah, it was.
But you have to remember it's Portland, so.
All festivals. That's true. All festivals are just like, it's more than I think people realize. And now I don't know how I did a lot of the things I did when I was younger, just from like a physical standpoint. Like, I don't know how I drank so often, stayed up so late. Like, did it, like,
yeah.
I know. Yeah. Now it like makes me feel physically sick to think about doing some combination of drinking, staying up until 5 a.m. while on a different drug. Like that seems.
Oh, I still find myself in that realm. I'm still easily pulled into like my friend Lisa Traeger was in town, and I was like, I'm going to bed at like 11 p.m. tonight, and then I saw she was on the lineup of the show I was on, and I texted her. I was like, "Hey, are you gonna be here soon?" I think I'm gonna leave, and she was like, "I'm only in town one night, bitch. Like, you fucking hang out for a little bit." And then we, of course, end up hanging out to like I have to like pull myself away at 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
But
Oh,
yeah,
it just seems so crazy. I mean, I'm sure. No, I don't even know.
I
can
can't
stay
do it
up
like
till
I did
3. I
before,
can
though.
drink. I can still drink, but
Yeah,
I don't know if it. Maybe it's just the combo that, and my hangovers are pretty bad too. So I have to.
my hangovers are brutal now. That's why I'm getting so old, Monica. I just fucking downloaded a calorie counter again because I have to like I gotta get my shit back together, you know. I used to be able to like run 10 miles and then drink all night, or like drink all night, wake up hungover, and then run 10 miles and be like, I'm good.
Yeah,
Like
I feel fine now.
I had so much
I
energy,
know. I
and
was
then
reading
now
some.
I sleep till noon.
Yeah, I was reading some tweet. That's like, oh, my hangover was gone by 10 a.m. when I was when I was 21, and noon when I was 25, and 4 when I was 30. And I'm like, 4 when you're 30? I'm 31, and I'm like, that bitch lasts for 2 days now. I don't know what you're talking about. 4 p.m. It's never
Yep.
over. Like I do feel like it's like 9, and I'm like getting back into bed, and I'm like, I'm still hungover. This is a whole day wasted. I don't know
Yep.
how this is happening. Which the drinking again makes more sense to me now, because I'm like, might as well fucking keep going if this is how I'm gonna feel. All right. Anyways, drugs. Let's see. We have. Is there one more short one you got, or?
I got a short one because I'm still like, there is part of me that still thinks this is not a bad idea, but I know it is, because I'm trying to do an album this year, and I have a special coming out in Epics, and the idea was I wanted to. The idea I had I wanted to line up an album with the video special because they're not doing both, and that way I could finally get my material on a fucking album because I don't have one right now. And but I always wanted to name. I legit wanted to do this. I don't think I'm going to, just because I think the implications are rough, and also I don't think it would be the most unique thing done ever, but I wanted to do my album live from my dad's grave, and I have a lot of material making fun of my dead dad, who I never met, and but I know where he died and stuff, so it's like I could do that. And then I would put I wanted to put throughout the album like little ghost noises, and or even if I just did it at a comedy club and still just put in ghost noises and said it was from my dad's grave. I think there's something there. I don't think people would like that, and I don't know how that would play on like Sirius and stuff.
I guess I didn't think about that part. But the ghost noise would be
But I really
hilarious.
for like a good year was like, that is going to be my album.
doing this. Yeah. Well, that's funny because there's this on the fence part of this show where it's like, yes, hypothetically, and maybe as being as much financial help as you want an album to be, maybe not the best idea, but I still think it's funny. Like I do think it's funny, and I would enjoy that.
If I had a throwaway like chunk of material that was about my dad, I could do that. It's tough because the material about my dad is like something. It was on my half hour, but it's going to be on this hour special, I think. And then I've never put it on an album, so it's like I need it on something that's usable.
Yeah.
This is what sucks about not being rich, because if I was like super rich, I would just do it.
Yeah, you're like, then I could do 2 versions. Why would it matter?
Yeah.
Like, that's funny. I think the idea is funny, and I'm all for just something, even though it's stupid, doing it anyways.
Yeah, and then I could have like a voice. I could even do a thing where I had like my dad's voice like calling me a bitch and so like heckling me or something.
Right. It's the ghost voice being like, I'm disappointed in you.
This is a bad idea for a person, you're right, who needs
needs it to
Who
be
needs the
usable.
money.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But as far as just a funny concept, I think it's really funny. And I mean, just from a title perspective. So let's say you just titled it that.
Live from my dad's grave.
Yeah, I do think that like gets people's attention. Like
Maybe I should name it that.
That's
you're
pitchable
right.
just for that part. Even if so, then if you just recorded the whole thing in a comedy club and just it's about your dad some, so it does still make sense. But then maybe not the ghost noises. It still definitely grabs people's attention.
I could have put in a couple tracks where it's like I could have like my buddy like Nimesh Patel or something, like because my dad was Indian. I could have them come in and be my dad talking shit about me.
You could, I mean, you could definitely still do that because they only take like tracks. They don't take they take the whole album.
Yeah,
whatever,
so that wouldn't go on
only
Sirius,
play tracks.
Obviously.
Yeah,
but it'd be funny to listen to in the middle of an album.
Yeah, I kind
of like this.
I had some like B-sides on my album that were it's like whatever, got distracted banter type of stuff that they left on and like put it at the end kind of thing. You could do that.
I also when I did my special because I just did it like in like October. And when it was an epic special and I was kind of fucking around and I opened it after my first bit. I was like, it really means a lot to me that you guys all came out tonight. And we are filming this in April of 2020, and it just really means like you guys didn't listen to the mainstream media. Show these brave people's faces. It was a fun bit that I was like, maybe I could name it Live from April 2014. But no, I think that maybe I will name it Live from my dad's grave.
I think that's funny, but yeah. Okay.
But no, those are my ideas.
Yeah, we have to keep our eyes out for when the album comes out and when the special comes out, so we can see what they actually put in and what the titles were decided on. So if people want to follow you or come see you live or whatever, how can they do that? What else would you like to?
This handle you got here is great. It's at Tom Thakkar, THAKKAR. That's on Instagram. On Twitter, you got to throw an A between the Tom and Thakkar, so it's Tom A. Thakkar. And then I have, like I said, I have that special. I have a Tonight Show appearance you can Google. It's some of my stuff is on my website, which is tomthakkar.com. I put my dates on there, but I'll be in Chicago in mid-January, and I've got Austin and Raleigh, and what else? I've got Indy, St. Louis. I've got a bunch of stuff coming up.
Nice. That's great. And then if you're watching here on YouTube, you can subscribe, or if you're listening, rate and review, subscribe, all that stuff. Also, if you didn't listen to the last episode, which was episode 47, that is our Dumb Pitch Awards show, which was kind of a recap of the year. We're calling it the Dummies. And so that's all the nominations. So it's got the clips if you want to go check that out and remind yourself of your favorites, and then you can vote, and the winners will be announced on episode 50. And now you're up for 2022 now that you've been on this episode, so no pressure. But, we'll see if you follow through with the Dead Dad's grave. You might get some extra points. So. But thank you for doing it. Go check out Tom, and right now you can just keep watching Dumb Pitches.
You're weird.
Yes.